Hello, gorgeous soul, and welcome to this epic podcast. This is a place where you are encouraged and you have absolute freaking permission to unapologetically go after all of your dreams, all of your visions, all of your things on your vision board, like everything that your heart desires. I'm your host, Angharad, the High Vibe Babe, and I believe that we're all in this life to expand and experience our wildest dreams. If one of us can have it, then we all can. So that is the aim of this podcast. Each week I'll either be going solo or have guests with the aim to inspire, uplift you and give you the tools for you to live your most epic AF life and business possible. You can find me on Instagram with the handle @HighVibeBabe. Now let's get into today's episode. Hello. Welcome back to the High Vibe Babe podcast. I'm Angharad here, your host. And today I am bringing you an interview with a really good friend of mine, Rachel Symington. Now I know you're really going to enjoy this. She is an epic human being and she has so much wisdom to share. Here's a little bit about her. Rachel Symington is an intuitive coach and business mentor who, through her unique methods and skills, guides women in creating and growing their businesses by combining modern business strategy with ancient wisdoms. Tapping into the superpower that is your feminine cycle so that you can move forward in the path of least resistance, all while giving you the tools and support to create a business that lights your soul on fire and become the goddess that you were born to be. Welcome, Rachel.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited for this epic conversation we're about to have. We're already like screeching with fun before we even hit record, so this is going to be great. Would you please tell us, firstly, hold on, what is your Instagram handle so everyone can go and stalk you while they listen to you?
Yes, that's very important. Rachel.Symington, Symington. Super simple.
Cool.
Yep.
So now everyone can see your face.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are today and what is it that you do?
First of all, I love that question and I love how multifaceted it is. I started being an entrepreneur, which is a huge passion of mine, when I was 21, because I had my daughter fresh out of college. And this is something you need to know about me. I don't do well being told what to do, number one. But more importantly was she was a newborn and I could not bear to leave her. But we needed to figure out a way to make things work financially. Like my husband was working 2 jobs. We never saw him. And yet we still were not able to pay the bills, which was ridiculous. And I had a huge passion. I knew I wanted to do something huge with my life. And I had no idea what that was, but I had to do something. So I joined a network marketing company when I was 21 and I loved it. I still do. I loved what the model was able to give me. And I rose up in the ranks really quickly, fastly surpassed my husband's full-time income. And I did that full-time for 4 years solely until last year. Well, I guess 2 years ago now. Wow, time flies. I was pregnant with my second child. And like, you know, when you're pregnant and all that creative energy comes out, and I just had it coursing through my blood. And I was like, ooh, I want to expand this. I want to do something different. And I have a background in biology. It's what I got my degree in. I'm a super health nut. They call me the crunchy mom. You know, I'm like that mom. And but gut health was something that was really important to me. It worked really well seamlessly with the network marketing company I was in. And I was like, I'm going to be a holistic health coach. And I was so excited about it because I knew so many people who needed help with this. So I created a course. It was bomb. I was actually seeing it in my memories for Facebook and stuff. And I was like, dang, that was really good for having no idea what the hell I was doing. But I did. And it went really, really well. It took me 9 months to launch it because I was scared out of my mind. I had so much growth to do. I just really started my, I guess you would call it, awakening at that point, really understanding. And I launched that and I really enjoyed it. I did really well. I made a good amount of money. I was making a difference. But I found myself like getting really annoyed with the fact that I had to like talk about food and gut health and crap again. And it's not crap. It's really important. And I'm really glad that there are people out there who teach about these things, but it wasn't lighting me up anymore. So I went through this huge period of self-discovery. I dived into my human design, which I know like you're super into as well. And I was like, mind blown of realizing like, what I'm actually good at. Nothing's actually wrong with me and I can do this. And through that time, this was last October, 2018. And I just had this idea, this download of if I could just talk to women all day about their business and develop ideas and help them expand on that and see bigger and be the visionary and show them the way and all these opportunities for them to grow and help them figure out their services and build them up and empower them and create this empire doing that. Like, and I could make a living doing that, then that would be the dream. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm totally going to make that happen within the next 3 years was my thought process. I'm laughing at myself, obviously, now. And in the next 3 weeks, I had like 3 clients just fall into my lap. I already had women coming to me saying, wow, you created this health coaching business. I want to do something similar. How do you do that? And I had 3 women fall in my lap. They're like, I need you to help me with this. I need your services. And I was like, oh, well, funny story. And it just all flowed and it fell into my lap. And a few months before, my husband had actually lost his job, which was helping us get health insurance as entrepreneurs. And well, I don't know about New Zealand, but here in the States, it's really shitty and it's really expensive. If you don't work for a company that covers it, it's crazy amounts of money. So that was getting us health insurance and all these different things. And he lost his job and I was scared out of my mind. So I was like, oh, well, actually, I have to do this now. I have no more options. It's either, we stay where we're at or we choose to do something different, right? He goes back and gets another job, or I actually do the damn thing and pursue what I've wanted to do this whole time. So I did that and I switched over my business and it was the scariest thing that I've ever done. It was last November and I was like, okay, guys, I'm officially done health coaching, which is giving me a really strong source of income at that point. And switching everything over, I invested in a 10K program. I invested in another mentor, which is the one that introduced me to all the things cycle and your menstrual cycle and working with that and the divine feminine, and changed so much for me. And I just dove in and my business has exploded like every single month. It's crazy how fast things happen. And here we are, how many months later? I guess 9, 10, 11 months later. And it has just grown into like what I always dreamed it would be. I'm maxed out on one-on-one clients until 2020. I have a group program launching that is filling up with the most gorgeous souls. I have a monthly membership. I have classes. I have a brand and a message and a purpose that it just lights me up and I never get tired of talking about it. And it's insane to think of where I came from and where I am now, and being able to like reflect on that entire journey is just crazy. Yeah. So I don't think I fully answered the complete question, but that's the last 5 years of my life.
That's so awesome. You did. And you also, the other question I was going to ask was, what does your business model look like? So yeah, so you've got your paid Facebook group, is that right?
Yeah. A monthly membership.
And then you've got your one-on-one clients and group coaching.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's, I've kind of been stacking it, and it started off with one-on-ones, and that's always been the basis of my business because I love that. Like I love working with my clients and really being able to dive in on that intimate level. And I've done play shops in the past, instead of workshops, I call them play shops because they're fun.
Cool.
Yeah, I know. I've done play shops in the past and different classes and group programs before. But as of this summer, I feel like I really found what I really want to do in this solid business model that I have now, it's exactly what I wanted, but I had to figure everything out first, right? Test the grounds. So yeah, I have my Cyclic Goddess community, and I teach about all the gorgeous things, divine feminine and flowing with your cycle in there. And I teach a new class every month, and we have community gatherings, and we chat, and we have fun, and we have hot seat coachings. Oh my gosh, that place is it's amazing and beautiful and wonderful. And then my one-on-ones, and then launching Third Eye Thirst. It starts next month, so that's the group program. Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, so excited.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you tell me and all the listeners, what does it even mean for anyone who's like has no idea what on earth it means to work with your cycle? Like, what does that mean, and why is it important?
Oh my gosh, what a gorgeous question. So I had no idea what this meant 1 year ago today, right over my head. So I can speak to that person very easily. When we look at we refer to it as our cycle. And I always, it's that time of the month when we bleed for a few days. But we called it a cycle. And I was like, that's weird, right? It's like a singular event that's really annoying and causes a lot of anger and stress and moodiness and, irritability. And it took until all the dots connected that I realized when we look at like biologically what our bodies are doing during the entire month, from menstruation to pre-ovulation, ovulation, premenstruation, and repeat, we're changing. Like our body temperature changes, our hormones, our estrogen and progesterone rise and then drop off, LH levels. There's so many different things. The food that we crave, we can even refer to like our mental stability and emotional stability during those times. And our cycle actually affects us every single day throughout the month. And when we look at every single week of our cycle, they're each attached to a different archetype that has its own superpowers within it. And when we understand that we change all of the time, like we're 4 different women in one, and actually we're more than that. We are constantly changing and have different superpowers in each phase of our cycle, and we know what those are and when we're really good at certain things and when it's time to do others. It's like the blueprint to life that we've always been looking for, because all of a sudden nothing's wrong with you anymore. It explains so much, and you're able to, I envision it like flowing in a lazy river. You're no longer like, oh no, what happened to that girl 2 weeks ago? I liked her and now I'm feeling like this, and it's crazy. And it's like you're on a roller coaster, like in the dark, in the pitch black. You have no idea what's coming next, so you're always blindsided. But when you understand your cycle and these archetypes, and you understand their effect on your life, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, energetically, everything, you're able to like optimize and harness those powers and use them to your ability and in life and in business. And it's fucking awesome.
So how is it directly, okay, hold on. Can you give me the basic rundowns of each of the 4 and what,
absolutely,
and like how they pertain directly to like the actions you take within your business, for instance, during those times?
Yeah. So the pre-ovulation phase is the one I tend to always start with. It's associated with the maiden archetype. So the young, energetic woman, right? We just got done bleeding. We have a fresh new start. The clouds have parted. We've come out of the theoretical cave, and it's like the life cycle starting over again. We are getting things done. We are having fun. We are flirty. We are making plans. We are kind of sowing the seeds, getting everything ready. And when we look at these archetypes, they're not only associated with our menstrual cycle, they're also associated with the phases of the moon, the seasons, and the phases of a woman's life. So when I'm talking about maiden, I'm also referring to springtime and the waxing moon, when it's going from new moon to full moon. And it's all of that beautiful, bright yang energy. And during maiden, she's often referred to as dynamic because it's high physical energy and you have the strong need and desire to change things. So when I'm in my business, I use maiden to really look at my big scope of things. For example, coming up with my assistant, I'm going to take a huge editorial calendar, and I'm going to look at everything that I have coming up over the next 3 months at minimum, and we'll probably expand it even further. And then we're going to dive in even more so and plan and attach like different content and launches and classes and all of these different things so that it's all organized. And if I tried to do that in crone, for example, which is your menstruation phase, that would not be very good idea. I would be like a zombie. I would end up crying. I'd be like, oh, I don't even know. I can't focus on this. So knowing that an optimal time to do that would be maiden, I'm going to plan it for that time. And that's when we're going to do it. There's some other times that it would be pretty good to do it as well. But maiden specifically, it's great at when we look at this season, what are we doing in spring? We're planting everything for the crops, right? We're doing a lot of work. We're tilling the land. We're planting the seeds. We're doing everything that needs to get done. It's a lot of action work, and it's a very do, very change. Let's get things going because we've got some shit to do. And without going and making this podcast 2 hours long, that's essentially the gist of maiden, and it's associated with that waxing moon, right? We're coming back to life, and it's fun and it's flirty and it's high energy. And then mother is the ovulation phase. So, if you have a 28-day cycle, you can expect that to happen around day 14 to like 20-ish. And it's also associated with the full moon. So that full moon energy and summer. And this is the nurturing mother. And this is actually a passive time. Like it's a light, bright energy, like that full moon, but it's a passive. It's a really nice rest from that active dynamic maiden right before and the active creative time of enchantress coming afterwards. Sure. And when I'm teaching this, and I think of like the nesting and the nurturing mother, and I'm also thinking of summer, like what do we do in summer? We hang out with our kids, we eat watermelon, we go swimming, we have bonfires, we watch movies, we're doing stuff, and it's very bright, but it's passive. It's really taking a moment to nurture what you've built in that maiden time, and taking a beat to take an assessment and let things, give them space to grow as you nurture them and love on them. And that includes yourself. Like this is a time of sacred self-care as well as taking care of others. So when I know a lot of people I talk to, they're familiar with maybe the moon energies, but not their menstrual cycle energies. And when I associate the two, it's like something clicks for them. So I always like to bring that up.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know much about moons, but I do know more about my cycle. So it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the time, like generally of a lot of emotional stability, definitely more patience and empathy and generosity, gentleness. You're able to connect with people more. It's definitely a fun-filled time, but this is a time when your connection abilities are heightened. So if you have to plan like a big family outing, plan it for when you're in ovulation, and it will probably go a lot smoother because you're more apt to just relax and chill and enjoy it and be a little bit more caring versus maybe sassy. So when I'm in mother for business specifically, I really like to just carry through the projects that I enacted in maiden and see how they're doing, test them out. I'm still working with my clients. I'm in mother right now. I love to do podcast interviews when I'm in mother. I really like to just, I know this sounds a little bit odd, not really, I guess, but I'm really attracted to mother nature when I'm in the mother phase of my cycle, which is super common. And I love to get outside as much as possible during that time. So I have a really nice, I'm going to get some work done, and then I'm going to relax. And like, I just want to have a movie night with my kids after we go on a hike. And it really helps me to find that balance with work and family. So I really try to use that with my business. Yeah. And then Enchantress is the premenstrual phase. Enchantress is really cool. Oh my gosh. So this is the waning moon and autumn equinox. So here in the Northern Hemisphere, we just had the fall autumn equinox.
Okay.
And I know that you guys just had the spring equinox. So you guys are going into maiden energy in the Southern Hemisphere, whereas I'm like all the fall vibes, even if it's still 90 degrees Fahrenheit here.
Yeah.
So, which is really hot. So like 40 degrees Celsius-ish, maybe 38, somewhere around there. So nice and hot. But Enchantress is associated with the postmenopausal woman as well. So when I'm explaining her, this is a woman who knows what she's doing, right? She's been around the block. She's confident. She has sowed her seeds. She has let it nurtured. And now it's time to like finish all of that shit up and be super creative and productive and pull her manifesting magic out and just be the wild woman that she is. That's what this archetype is also associated with. This is a yin time, like a darker time, more subconscious focus. Yet it's an active time, and that can confuse a lot of women without going too deep down the rabbit hole of female suppression in this world. We have no comprehension of what it's like to be deeply wild and intuitive and feminine and yet still active and productive. And that's what Enchantress is. And in regards to your cycle specifically, this is a time when you have like a burst of creative energy where it's almost, I don't want to call it manic depressive, but that's kind of the feel that it gives me of this like super creative time met with a dip of physical energy where you need to dive into self-care and yin work. And then you might have another burst that won't be as high as the last one. And then another dip. And it's going to keep, it's like a wave that goes down of physical energy until it bottoms out in crone, which is the menstrual phase. So these highs and these lows can be really confusing because it's like, oh, it's an active time. I want to finish up these projects. I need to harvest everything that I've been working on and letting grow and finish up all of these things. And I see all of these problems like that's Enchantress's superpower is creative problem solving. So when you're in that premenstrual phase, everything might have been good last week, but now you're looking around and you're like, that sucks, hate that. This is all terrible and I'm terrible. And if we let it mean something, and we get stuck on the problems, whereas it's actually, we're seeing like just where things can be better and be improved upon, but we don't always have the energy to pursue that because we're going into that crone time. So definitely like use that superpower, write all of that down, use those bursts of creative energy that you have to finish things up or, you know, get things going for the next time around. But then give yourself grace and write everything down so you don't forget it and come back to it. Maiden's going to come back around again. It's a beautiful cycle that's never going to fail you. It's always going to come back around. You don't need to try to run back to that creative high energy. Like go into crone with excitement and love for this magical rest time that it is, and that death and rebirth and assessment and reflection, knowing that maiden is right around the corner and you're gonna have all the amazing energy that you had a few weeks before, and everything's fine and you're fine. Yeah.
While we're talking about Enchantress, I think that's the thing that part of my cycle, so that the premenstrual was always the part that I think I struggled with the most. I always thought that, you know, you're PMSy and you just, you know, you're angry and everyone hates you and everyone's cycling together, so everyone hates each other. And, you know, and it's like, so we're just like destined to fail, and then we have this, and then we menstruate, and we're just like, it's even like worse, and then we just, you know, we're always trying to get work done and stuff. And I think the biggest misconception I had was that this premenstrual time was this big bonfire, but it's actually not. There is so much creative work and so much, but it's the burst. I didn't understand that it was the go rest, fix a problem and then rest, you know. And that's something that I've really the last couple of cycles, and it's changed just so much for me. And realizing also that each of them, it's active time followed by rest, active rest. And I used to find myself being so burnt out in my active time because then I'd keep on working in my rest through to my rest time, but then I'd rest and can't wait and then I feel bad and can't wait for maiden or the next one to come along to actually do the work. And I find it hard to sit back and enjoy what I've done. But when you look at the whole picture and go, it's active rest, you're just right. Maiden does come back around. It does keep on coming back around. And so it's like, this is how we can work a business around this because it's so powerful.
Yeah.
It does keep on happening. It's not, you don't have to, we don't, like, I'm speaking mostly from my personal experience, but like I relied on my period coming every month. That's just what happens. It's cool. I know I'm going to be whatever, this big psycho, whatever, this misconception we have. But then I didn't focus on the other stuff, good stuff that's coming around. So you take the same faith that it's going to come around, the menstruation time and the rest
that's a good
time,
point.
That the creative time and the get stuff done time also does come around as well. It's, it is balance.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm really glad you brought that up because it's something I've been really called to talking about lately is the beauty of the balance of the cycle. Like, it's so divinely and beautifully created. We have that active rest, right? This gorgeous balance, but we also have the balance of yin and yang, and we have the balance of conscious and subconscious focus. So maiden and mother are very conscious focus, like frontal lobe, very present, and enchantress and crone are more subconscious. And so we go back into the brain, and that's where the power of enchantress comes from. Is it's very much we can bypass that frontal lobe and go into our subconscious, where we can tap into all our deepest desires and manifestations and everything that we want, while also it being an active time and able to fully channel that into creation, which is why it's called like the creative time. And that wild woman, like, I imagine the woman that is dancing to like tribal music that moves her, like moving intuitively and letting that creativity out and feeling her power. And that's something that's been lost on this world. Like you were mentioning, that enchantress and premenstrual was associated with a bomb, that everyone hates each other and we get nothing done and it's terrible and everyone hates it. PMSing doesn't have to exist, but that's not even the point that I'm getting to. But I fully believe that in this patriarchal society that's been happening all over the world for the last, I don't actually have the years, but several hundred or thousand years, especially in more westernized cultures specifically, they saw the power of enchantress, of having that subconscious completely channeled into creativity and all of the power that it gave her. She's extremely confident and she knows what she's doing. Again, Enchantress Rach is sassy. She knows what she's doing. She is straight to the point. She finishes her project. She gets shit done. She makes magical things. But when a man comes along and says, and I'm talking about the theoretical man, men are great. I'm not, I love men. But when the theoretical man comes around and says, you are so irrational during this time. You are so all over the place. Yeah. 1 minute you're doing active, you're getting things done. And the next you're laying in bed and resting and needing to let your emotions out and do a face mask, do a mud mask. And and when they tell you this enough, you start to believe them. Right. And then you lose touch with this ancient wisdom that was the blueprint that your ancestors have lived by for millennia. All of a sudden, we hate this time, and it has completely cut our power off at the knees.
I agree. We were created like this for a reason. We have a cycle for a reason.
Yes.
So, like when we can understand it and we can have power, it doesn't have power over us. It's a tool for us to use and understand. And it's just until I think you're the only person I've ever heard talk about it. And until I heard you talk about it, I don't even know how long ago, ages ago. Oh, Viola actually touched on it. She years in my first run at SBA probably was the first time I ever heard about like launching things on ovulation. I'm like, what? Why would you do that? What? Tell me more. So, this makes sense, but I have no idea why. Please tell me.
It's so funny because like when I first heard about it, I was fully accepted it, because as soon as I heard the truth, it was like, oh, like I know in my deepest DNA that that's accurate. And I ran with it, and because it unlocked so much for me. It unlocked this creativity. It made me let go of shame and anxiety, because there's time for everything all of a sudden. I'm not crazy anymore. Nothing's wrong with me because I had all this energy 2 weeks ago and now I can't get out of bed. I also, I don't have that anymore because now I understand how, how to take care of myself better and how to prioritize that, and that, I need to rest during these passive times so that I can store up my energy for these active times and come back around. It's funny when I get that a lot. When women come to me, they're like, you are the first person I've ever heard talk about this, which I definitely not. I'm a moon mother. I was trained by Miranda Gray in the system of female energy awakening. Okay. And there are moon mothers all over the world, and even more outside of that system necessarily that she created. There are a bunch of women talking about this, but it's not enough. And so I'm so excited and honored to have the passion and the calling to spread this, because it's so incredibly important. And I love when women hear it. I've never had anyone question me, and I don't think that I ever will, because how could you?
When you experience a man might, and I would understand that because they don't have the
they don't
like we do.
Get it.
Yeah. But do you want to touch on Crone as well, please?
Yes.
Amazing.
Crone's amazing as well. Oh my gosh, Crone's beautiful. So Crone is associated with obviously your bleeding time, but it's the old wise woman. And this is a restorative time. It's associated with the new moon and with winter. So when we think, okay, everything's dying, but it's also really beautiful. And there's this calmness and this gorgeousness that winter brings. And for me, when I think of winter, I think of the holidays and Christmas and time with family and, all huddled around the fire and reading books and hearing snow crunch under your feet and resting and just being quiet for a while. And when we look at nature, it's this death and rebirth time. Everything dies so that it's almost like we hit the reboot button, like on a computer, but on nature. And we do that with ourselves too. Crone is the old wise woman, and she deals out golden nuggets of wisdom. She gets the most divine downloads and ideas. And if you let her be old and you let her rest, you will see her magical powers come out. You will feel so at peace. You will be able to just look around and enjoy that time and enjoy the wisdom that comes with it. And my best friend, her name is Ashley, and she was in Crone when I was in Maiden, and she's in my cyclic goddess community. And someone they asked this question, and I answered it, and I did 2 short sentences, and it was great. It was very efficient. It answered her question. And then Ashley, crony Ashley, comes in, and she, with this gorgeous, beautiful wisdom, just spews this paragraph that was just inspired by the heavens. And I was like, yeah, what she said. And I was and I love the balance of that, right? Because she was able to bring in a different part of femininity. And I was able to bring in a different part of femininity as well. And every part has its place in the world, and its time in our monthly cycle, and its time in our seasons, and its time in our lives. And this is very much a subconscious time too. And it's our built-in rest time, and that a welcome rest from drive and ego. And when I'm in Crone, I still work with my clients. I meet some of the most magical sessions we have are when I'm in Crone. It's a very different approach to our sessions. It's very chill, very laid back. I'm just sitting there wrapped up in my shawl with some tea going, yes. I hear you. I'm about to hit you with some nuggets of wisdom that are going to blow your mind. But I really just take time to connect with myself again. I take life really slow. And what I mean by that is I still do generally the same amount of things in regards to, keeping up with sessions and things. But I walk slower, I move slower, and that feels so cathartic to me because I'm not in a rush to do anything. I don't have anywhere to be, I don't have to finish up this project or get these things done. I'm able to just be for a while. and I'm able to hit that reset button and I let the thoughts flow. A lot of times I'll just open up my journal and I will just start writing or doodling or a mixture of both. Like, I just have so much that I want and need to get out of me. And I don't even really, I'm very much subconsciously channeling, and it's like these divine downloads. And I'll look at it and be like, that's chicken scratch. And that's insanity right there. I don't even know what that means. And then when I look back in the journal, when I'm in Mated, I'm like, holy cow, who is that incredibly intelligent person who came up with that? Oh my God. And so, yeah, it's a time for me to just be with my thoughts and hit that reset button. And I use it to my advantage by getting the rest in, but also by not scheduling things that I know would just cause strife during that time, and really honoring that old wise woman inside of me, because it is like you're almost in a haze. Like, the world is going by really fast around you and you can't quite compute things the way that you normally would. Like, if my husband was trying to give me like in-depth details about our travel itinerary coming up, I wouldn't necessarily be able to completely comprehend all of the details of that in Crone without, giving it my full undivided attention and like taking notes, that's not the optimal time for me to digest that information. That's not what that's for. So, we just try to avoid things that are going to cause strife so that it can be the peaceful time that it's designed to be. And we have to allow ourselves that time to rest. And I think that's where a lot of women struggle, is not thinking that it's okay or productive to do that, when in reality, that can be the most productive time of your entire month.
Yeah, I absolutely love all of these things. And you've touched on for each one, like what you do and don't do for your business and in your life. So when you look at how you did live for the first 20 something years of your life, which you weren't having, but still whatever, with your cycle, not working again, like not working with it and working with it now, like what has that changed for you, like in the big picture? How does it feel and what are the outcomes for that?
Well, for the first 25 years of my life, because I'm 26 now, I felt all over the place. I had, like I mentioned, like on a roller coaster in the dark, where you're about, there's going to be jars coming up, but you don't know what's coming next and you don't know when. And I tried to be very consistent because I thought that's what I needed to do. And that's a very masculine way of doing things, which is great. And that works for masculine people, but that doesn't work for us who are cyclics. So I tried to be very consistent. I tried to push through when I would feel that deep rest, because I thought that meant something was wrong and I was just lazy, and I needed to not worry about that and just do. And I would crash and I would burn and I would crash hard and I would lay around for a week or so, letting this mean something, letting my mind run away with me of like, wow, something's really wrong with me. Why can't I do this? This always happens. It's this terrible cycle that I just can't figure out. And I never know when it's coming. And it's like 2 weeks I'm great and 2 weeks I'm not. And I can't figure out how to fix it. And I just assumed that it was something I needed to like beat out of me, kind of.
Yeah, I get that.
I didn't go anywhere for a really long time. I mean, I was fine, right? It was whatever, but I didn't make a lot of moves because I was stuck, because I was 2 steps forward, 1 step back type of deal. And not knowing, right, that maiden time was going to come again. I was like, well, now I'm down for the count. Who knows how long this one's going to last? So now that when I learned about all this, I used a phrase that it unlocked so much for me. It unlocked a creativity that I didn't even know existed, because I was blocking it by trying to be very consistent, like trying to stay in that maiden and mother only, because those are the only ones that I saw as valuable. And now I feel like there's time for everything. I feel so much less anxiety and stress. The trust has increased immensely. Like, I feel like it set off this entire growth process for me, and learning and discovering more about source, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. And I'm like, wow, there really is a time for everything and nothing is wrong with me. And I do have superpowers. It's similar to the feeling of when I learned about my human design, like, oh, I'm a projector. I just don't operate like those other people. And that's okay. It's like, oh, wow, I have this special thing about me that was given to me at birth, and I can use that to create really awesome stuff. And I don't have to do it like I've been told. I don't have to do it like I see all of the men all over the world doing, business. And I don't have to do that, which means I don't have to run myself into the ground, and I don't have to be miserable in order to achieve my dreams. And when I realized that, nothing could stop me anymore.
That's so inspiring. Oh my gosh. I'm like freaking out over here. I'm like so excited. Okay, so sort of taking a step into the future a little bit further, what does your future business look and or feel like? Have you got what's your vision?
I've been working on that a lot recently, especially with the fall equinox here, and definitely coming into that enchantress energy for this season, and really planning things out and accessing my deepest desires and manifesting those. Cool. And I definitely want to continue on this path that I'm on. I love having cycles for my one-on-ones. I work with them for 2 seasons. So we have a summer, fall cycle, and then a winter, spring cycle. Okay. So I get them for an active and a passive time. Cool. And then for Third Eye Thirst is going to be a biannual thing, and I'm so excited to have that. I always looked at like Manifestation Babe, who has her school, one or 2 times a year. And I always wanted that. And I'm so excited to like have found that and to be able to like really falling into place. Like things are really syncing up. Yeah. My cyclic goddess community is something I'm playing the long game with. I really want to fill that up with gorgeous women from around the world who really want to know more and learn about their cycles and be surrounded by women doing the exact same thing and using it as their superpower. But I also have really big dreams. There will be a book coming down the line. I'm starting a podcast this fall, and my big goal, in 8 years, is to have an annual conference.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Oh my, I cannot believe how, yes. Okay. I'm your first person, but can I buy a ticket now?
Yes, absolutely. I say 8 years, but it's really 5 years. That's actually my goal for reals. I should just start saying 5. And I definitely want to get more into public speaking so that I can build up to that, and hosting retreats, and all of that's going to funnel into me learning everything that I can, and building up a team. Yeah. I just added my first amazing team member, and I'm really excited to add to that, and have employees and a team and a whole thing, so I can service women all over the world, because I want to travel the world. That's the big thing. That's the next 8 years, 5 years of my life.
That's so cool.
Watch out.
Oh my gosh, I have like all the vibes, and like so can feel and see that like pulling together. I did not expect you to say that, but as soon as you said it, obviously from my reaction, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, this is so you. Okay. Oh my goodness.
That makes me so happy. Thank you for that reflection.
That's all right. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Okay. So, where can people go to find more of you, other than, do you want to run your Instagram, and how can they be in your vibe more and hear more from you and all the things? Yeah.
So I just mentioned that I am launching my podcast. As of now, it's going to be the Cyclic Goddess podcast. So Be on the lookout for that. And it's going to be all things divine feminine, and definitely business and all the glorious things. You can also check out my website, rachelsymington.com. And of course, the Facebooks, because we're millennials and everything's on social media.
Yeah. Yes, girl.
I mean, what else do you expect?
Well, I was expecting you to ask everyone's address and no.
Come hang out with me at my yoga studio. That's also acceptable. I do some energy work there. It'll be, just come hang out in Nashville, Tennessee. It'll be great.
Nashville. Okay. Well, when I'm there next,
the
first time, I will so come and see you. So what's your Facebook handles?
Rachel Symington as well.
Cool. No dot?
No, it's just, I'm just my name.
And
Perfect.
Okay. Oh my gosh, so exciting. Okay. Do you have any last little something to throw at everyone that you feel might be ready for them to hear?
If you hear nothing else today, and if all of that, you're like, okay, hear you, but it doesn't really integrate and sink in and go really past the intellectual level, I want you to hear this. Nothing's wrong with you. And don't you ever ask yourself that again. This is how you were made. This is your divinely designed cyclic nature. Just because you don't operate like a man, like maybe your society tells you that you should be consistent, doesn't mean that you aren't powerful or productive and you can't do exactly what you want to do, because you fucking can.
I literally have goosebumps right now. It's so cool. Okay, yep, I so agree. I'm like getting way too excited now. Okay, yes, thank you very much.
Thank
Rachel,
you
for being here and sharing all of your amazingness. I really appreciate it, and thank you everyone for coming to this episode. And if you like it, please do a screenshot and tag us on your stories and let us know like what you learned, or what was your big aha moment, or just whatever you loved from this episode.
Yes.
And thank you so much for being here again, Rachel, and I will catch you all in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
If you have enjoyed this episode, I would adore if you would screenshot it, chuck it up on your stories with your favorite takeaway moment, and tag me at High Vibe Babe on Instagram, so that more people can see this and get this content and get this message out there to really shape and change and impact other people's lives. Do you desire to be around more high vibe women who really get you, who encourage you, who like support you no matter what? Well, guess what? I have a place that you belong. It is called High Vibe Babes Community. It is a free Facebook group, and I would love to have you in there. There are so many free trainings and epicness in this group, so please get your booty in there. It would mean the world if you would subscribe to this podcast, do the reviews, the rating, the stars, all of the things. Thank you so much for being here. I cannot wait to chat with you on the next episode. I'm sending you all of the vibes and all of the love. Over and out from her, the High Vibe Babe.